to say that this is something in our community that should not be tolerated. And so I've come on this Father's Day to ask the critical question that many of you did not think to ask when the verdict was rendered on Friday, but that I must ask out of the spiritual conscience that God has given me, is that on Friday when he came out of that courtroom, all I want to know is, where were the fathers? Where was the father of the young lady who was on the tape? Where was Aaliyah's father? Where was the fathers of the 3 girls who were paid off, who were under the age of 15, who had so-called consensual sex with a Negro over 35 years old? Where were the fathers? What then does it say about our fathers that our fathers were able to be silent because this man was able to give them a car and give them money and throw them a role of influence? Where are the fathers? What message did we send to our children on Friday who have been touched inappropriately, who have been abused, who have been the victim of incestuous relationships and molestation? They're looking up with water-stained eyes, wanting to know, isn't there a man that will speak up for me? Isn't there a man who will protect me? Isn't there a man who sees that there is something wrong with this? And we keep sending our children out to the wolves, acting as if it is not taking place in our communities. Men of God, we've got to in fact be protectors of our community. So I don't care whether he's a basketball player, a football star, a rap artist, or the man next door, or a Catholic priest. Don't let any man touch your child and walk away and act as if it is all right. There is a level of accountability. Are we holding up our responsibility as fathers to safeguard the community of what it is that our children listen to? If in fact their ear gate is the most influential part of their spirit, their being, and their development, how then do you allow your 13-year-old daughter to sing "It's a Lollipop, I Want to Lick a Rapper"? How then, with any consciousness, do you allow your children in the back seat of the car with you singing "Bust It, Baby"? How in the world are you allowing this little Negro who's smelling himself, who don't even got a driver's license, sing "I Want to Make Love in the Club"? You can't even go to the club. There's got to be some responsibility on behalf of the parents and the Christian community to say enough is enough. But you so busy getting your swerve on, getting your drink on, and saying children will be children. Your children are growing up too fast. Snatch them back up. They ought to have the privilege of being children. Don't let your daughters walk out of the house looking 21 and 25. Let them be glad to be 13 and 14 and 15. Whatever happened to the juniors department? Take that makeup off your daughter and let her be the girl that she is. Somebody say, "Preach, black man." There's got to be some accountability where our fathers will stand up and say, "I don't know what's happening in other communities, but I know what is not going to happen here." I tell you what, y'all can play with it if you want to, but let some grimy old man touch one of my daughters, I will shut down empowerment and have a prison ministry next week, because y'all ain't talking back to me. I believe in forgiveness, but God, you're going to have to forgive me after this, because if any man touches their hand on one of my daughters, there's a cost that's got to be paid. There is something that has to be said, but we're in a place where we are allowing our children to be used as pawns. Something is wrong when our children are in fact portrayed as sex symbols, that when it is that they're going to high school, you can't tell whether they're going to learn or they're going to audition for 106 in Park. That we're living in such a liberated sexuality that y'all now letting the girlfriend stay at the house. You are now allowing your daughters to tell you that she believes she's a lesbian and confused about her sexuality. They're going to be confused about their sexuality. They ain't even supposed to be having sex yet. You ought to be blocking off their life so that you can save their life. But you so busy trying to be their friend that you don't want to be their parent. Monitor their phone calls, check their email, watch what they watching, shut it down, put up a curfew, and let them know if you mad, go live somewhere else. But as for me and my house, that there's got to be a level by which we have something that is done. The Bible talks about the blind neglect of our children in Judges chapter 19. Something has gone wrong when it is that our children are looked at as an afterthought, that they're looked at as an accessory. I know y'all don't want to deal with it, but I got a problem when the parents are looking absolutely glamorous and their children look like 5 miles of bad road. You spending all that time all in the club and at happy hour while your children are at home doing God knows what. They don't want you to buy them another game, another pair of shoes. They want your attention. And if you don't give them attention, they will find some knock-kneed Negro with a stocking cap to talk anything into their ear. God said, seize the authority of your house and bind every demon that tries to attach themselves to your children. Some of y'all got to stop acting cute. You're spending too much time at church and not enough time raising your kid. Don't speak in tongues if your children can't speak English. Something's got to be able to be turned around. There is a cost to protecting our children. And in Judges chapter 19, we find a man who is a Levite. Levite means worshiper. A man who is a worshiper, and he's having trouble with his wife. And so his wife moves out for a season of separation. And in our text in Judges chapter 19, he goes back to reclaim his wife, or goes back to reclaim his family. He stays there for a couple of days trying to reconcile, trying to heal the relationship, and they start heading on back home together. And when they're heading back home, the sun begins to go down, and they stop in a place called Ephraim. And when they stop in Ephraim, nobody will take them in. There is something about when you're on a journey of healing, when you're on a journey of reconciliation, do not look for a lot of support. When you are trying to rebuild your life and you're trying to put your family under subjection, don't look for everybody to be tooting your horn and patting you on your back. There's some of you, since you've been trying to do the right thing, the attack on your life has only intensified and gone through the roof. But God said, I had to give you a season of isolation, because in isolation you find out what's really important and what really don't matter. If you haven't learned that lesson yet, keep on living. You're going to get to the place where I don't need to spend money. I don't have to impress folk I don't like. Yes, I wore this last summer, but because it fits, I'm going to put it back on again. And I don't care what anybody else thinks about it. I'm at a whole nother level of living. They can't find anywhere to live. And because they can't find anywhere to live, an old man sees them in the center of town and says, what are you doing out here? Do you know how much wickedness is in this city? Do you know how much negativity is in this city? Do you know how promiscuity is running rampant? What are you doing in this town by yourself? And he said, nobody will take me in. And do you not know that that is the psychosis of so many of our young people who will end up going home with somebody because they feel like they ain't got nobody? One of the most distressing things is to hear a teenage girl cry out that she wants to have a baby because she wants somebody to love her. Y'all not talking back to me. She can't find the affection of her mother. The father is nowhere to be found. And so she tries to find the affection and the attention of somebody who really doesn't have their best interests at heart and is just using them for instant gratification as opposed to long-term association. He takes him back home, and when he takes him back home, homosexual men begin to come into his house, and they're knocking down the door saying, send that man out.